What is up, everyone, and welcome to the first video on this new channel. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I'm going to be doing a lot of GoPro videos, basically breaking down GoPro settings, how to edit GoPro footage, and basically give you a whole guide on how to create your own fishing YouTube videos. So consider subscribing to this YouTube channel for more videos just like this one. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the best GoPro settings for fishing. So stay tuned for that. I have a GoPro Hero 7 and a GoPro Hero 8. I'm going to be going through the menu, the settings. You're going to be watching everything I'm doing to set up a GoPro Hero 7 and a GoPro Hero 8 for a good day of fishing on the water. So stay tuned for that. If you liked the video, definitely drop a thumbs up on this video. I'd appreciate that so much. And with that being said, let's jump into the settings for GoPro fishing videos. So first off, I'm going to start off with the GoPro Hero 7 Black, and this is the GoPro that I run for all my videos. It is a super awesome GoPro. You can see it's definitely got some wear and tear on it, so I'm going to power it on, and this is just the side door I take off for the adapter in order to have like the mic and charging and all that. So I'm going to power on the GoPro. It's going to power on, and I have it set to video for the default, which you can do that by swiping down and then tapping on preferences and then going to general, and then default mode is video. And I also like to have the beep volume on high, so if it ever stops recording, I can hear it like turning off and on. You also want to have auto power off never if you're trying to film all day, or I guess if it's on standby or it's not recording, it'll probably auto power off, but I always turn that feature off. LEDs on. The video compression, you can probably just leave it how it is, and you know, you got date, time, all that doesn't really matter too much. But that's just how you can have the default on the GoPro for when you first turn it on to be on video. So for the GoPro settings, I like to go in here. There's this little button down here, as you can see, I just pressed, which is going to be the quality of what you are recording. Starting off, for starters, I would go to your resolution right here, which is, you know, top left little box. And I would set your GoPro video to 1080. 1080 at 24 frames per second. You can get to the frames per second by tapping on the right box with the number in it. It should have 60 or 24. And 24 frames per second is exactly what it sounds like. It is going to shoot 24 frames per second. And that is supernatural to what the human eye sees. And that is going to look like a supernatural shot, and recording mode is 1080 at 24 frames per second. If you want it to look more like TV, a lot of TV shoot in like 30 frames per second, or any live streaming stuff as well. Sorry, I'm going to turn the brightness down a little bit on my camera here, but TV shoots in 30, so if you want it to give it like a TV look to it, I guess, you could do 30 frames, but I just always do 24. If you want to shoot slow motion and also record at the same time, you could do 60 frames per second. So 60 frames is like, let's say you're flipping a fish into the boat and you want to go into your editing software and slow down the footage. You will have 60 frames per second, which you will be able to slow down your footage by 50% if you shoot 60 frames per second. So if you don't want to do slow motion and you don't intend to slow down your footage, then you can just leave it on 24 frames per second and that'll look supernatural. The 120 and the 240 are super slow motion settings, which I never really use on a GoPro unless you're shooting like B-roll. So if you want to shoot like some B-roll shots, some cool slow motion stuff, I'd recommend doing 120 or 240, or actually not 240 because stabilization is not supported. So I don't think I would do that. I would just stick to 120 because you definitely want stabilization on a GoPro. So just for recording fish catches, I'd do 1080 at 24 frames per second for the first box of resolution. But if you do want higher quality footage, you can do 4K at 24 frames per second. It is going to wear down your battery and use a lot more of your SD card up while you're recording. So that's what I normally shoot in, but I have to replace my battery every hour or so. So if you just want to keep it simple, nice and simple, do 1080 at 24 frames per second, but I always shoot on 4K just for myself because I want a little bit higher quality. If you are not seeing these options, I also forgot to mention there's a box up here which is 16 by 9 is what it says, and you also might see one that says 4 by 3, and 4 by 3 is Instagram format, so it's going to be a format for Instagram posts, which is not how normal video is. This is just like for Instagram, stuff like that. If you just want to get, you know, a normal video mode, then I would do 16 by 9 to record like normal video like the one you're watching now. 4 by 3 is, you know, Instagram and all that, which I've never used in my life. But if you want to shoot Instagram content, you can find that right there, and you know, it'll shoot It's kind of weird to explain, but it'll like crop it in a little bit. That's the format it is. It'll just crop in a little bit. For the camera angle, well, the field of view, I like to have it on super view. I want to be able to capture the most information as possible, so I can crop in if I need to, or I can zoom in on a certain shot or point, or something crazy happened. Let's say I fell out of the boat, and I want to be able to, like, you know, see that, because if it's on just, you know, a standard, you know, wide, because you can see the difference here. Let me go to the thing so you can see how wide it is. It gets both of the seats in that shot, so I'm going to go back and change it to super view. And let's see, once we change it to super view, what's going to look like. Look at that. We get all that much, we get that, like, way much more information with that field of view, which is what I like. So I would recommend doing, you know, 1080 at 24 frames per second, super view for you guys. I'm actually going to set it up how I would for you guys. So that's what I would have so far. Stabilization on auto, of course. Pro Tune, whatever, you can have that on auto. It's just for manual control of color, iOS limit, exposure, much more. You just want that on because it'll be more of, it's like an auto, whatever. Shutter speed, you definitely want an auto, because if your shutter speed is set to manual, it could really mess some things up, because shutter speed is, it's kind of hard to explain shutter speed, but you basically want to put that on auto. That is what you want to do. If you want to film like more cinematic shots and stuff, then yeah, you can do, you know, you can set your shutter speed and all that, but I would not recommend it. EV comp, I would keep that on 0 as well. White balance, auto, of course. ISO min, 100. ISO max, 6400 is what I like to do. Sharpness on high, of course. Color, so when you get to color, make sure it's on GoPro. GoPro color, unless you want to get really detailed with it and color grade. I would definitely have it on GoPro color. So raw audio, you could put that on medium. That's what I normally do. You know, I don't want my audio to be super processed. I want to be able to come back and do that later. You can put that on high, and it'll be a little more like automatic. Mics is on auto as well. And these are the video settings I have set up, and what I would set up for you guys. And now I'm going to go over, you know, my setup that I would do on a GoPro like this, just for me, which I kind of already covered. Normally, the only thing I would change is, you know, filming in 4K and having my GoPro color set to flat so I can come back later and color grade. So that's basically my settings, and those are the settings I'd recommend for you. 1080, GoPro color. I'll make sure everything's kind of set to auto, super view, and there you go. That's the video settings for the GoPro Hero 7. Alrighty, so now we have the GoPro Hero 8, and I'm going to go over the best settings for a GoPro Hero 8, because the menu system is pretty different from the 7 and the 8, and I honestly think the 8 is actually a lot more easier to understand and get through the settings a lot more easy. So right now, when you click on the bottom tab like you would on the 7, we have all these different modes now. We have like a standard mode, an activity mode, we have cinematic, slow-mo, and all that. And it's honestly just how it is. If you want to shoot slow-mo, you can select this guy right here, and boom, you're all set up to shoot slow-motion video. Now we have cinematic. I wouldn't really use that. So I have air set up for the FPV drone as well. Standard is just how it is, but we're going to start and create our own mode right here. We're going to, yep, video mode, choose that. The resolution, you can do 1080 at 24 frames per second. So we're going to go here and select 24 frames. As you can see, I'm going to scroll up and go back right there, 24 frames. Lens, you can do super view, which you're just going to drag these guys. You know, you got narrow, linear, wide, and super view at the very top right here. So you're going to set up that. Hyper smooth on, of course. You also have hyper smooth boost, which I would actually recommend the boost option, because it is going to be a little smoother. And bitrate, you can do standard, shutter speed, auto. A lot of the stuff you can use on auto, GoPro color. And boom, you have your first custom setting on the GoPro Hero 8. And just like that, GoPro Hero 8 is pretty easy to, you know, get through and understand. The 7, I think, is going to be a little bit more confusing for some people, but the 8 has already, you know, pre-built custom modes that you can choose from, which I would recommend activity and standard. Then you can also go and create your own mode as well. So that is it with the GoPro Hero 8. Awesome camera. I think the 9 is actually really similar, the way the modes are set up and all the settings like that as well. So that is the 8, and that's going to do it for this video. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to smash the like button. Comment down below what you want to see in future videos just like this. Consider subscribing. I would appreciate that so much on the new channel. Really appreciate it. And let me know if you enjoyed the video and if this helped you out. I'll be doing future videos just like this. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.